The screaming started before the police even reached the compound. Inspector Kola heard it through the radio first, a distorted voice begging for backup. Unit 3, something is wrong inside the walls. Static swallowed the rest. By the time Kola's vehicle turned into the narrow Surrey street, neighbors were already outside, whispering prayers. An abandoned two-story house stood at the end of the road like a rotten tooth. Windows boarded. Gates hanging open. And yet, lights flickered inside. 3 officers waited near the entrance, pale and sweating. "Sir," one said quickly. "We tried going down again. The basement door closed by itself." Kola frowned. "The property report says there is no basement." "That's what we thought too." The smell hit him as soon as he stepped inside. Wet soil. Rust. And something else. Like meat left too long in the sun. Furniture lay overturned. Dust covered everything except a trail of muddy footprints leading toward the kitchen. Fresh footprints. Someone had walked recently. Officer Musa pointed toward a broken tire near the fridge. "We found it under there." They moved the refrigerator aside. A square metal hatch sat embedded in the floor. Chains wrapped tightly around it. Police seals already broken. "Who opened this first?" Kola asked. No one answered. The youngest officer finally whispered. "Sir, it was already open when we arrived." Cold crawled along Kola's spine. He grabbed a flashlight and cut the chains. The hatch groaned open. Darkness breathed upward. A narrow staircase disappeared underground. From below came a faint scratching sound. Slow. Patient. Like fingernails against wood. "Animals," Musa muttered. Kola didn't reply. He stepped down first. The air grew colder with every step. Halfway down, the light above flickered violently, then slammed shut behind them. Someone shouted. The hatch locked itself. Pitch darkness swallowed them. Only Kola's flashlight remained. At the bottom waited a long concrete corridor. Walls covered with symbols carved deep into cement. Not graffiti. Not random. Intentional. Fresh. Then they saw the door. Thick steel. Welded shut from outside. Police tape still hanging from the handle. Someone had tried sealing whatever was inside. Scratching came again. Louder now. From behind the metal. Officer Musa swallowed. "Sir, something is alive in there." Kola raised his gun. He didn't know yet. Opening that door would destroy every life in the room. The scratching stopped the moment Kola touched the handle. Silence flooded the corridor. Too sudden. Too complete. "Step back," he ordered. He kicked the welded hinges loose using a crowbar found nearby. Metal screamed as it bent. The door finally fell inward. The smell nearly dropped them to their knees. Rot. Blood. Wet earth. Their flashlights revealed a small underground chamber. Chains hung from ceiling hooks. Buckets filled with blackened water. Photographs covered the walls. Hundreds of them. Missing persons posters. Faces from different years. Different neighborhoods. Different ages. Every victim circled in red ink. Musa whispered. "This is trafficking." But Kola wasn't listening. Because the room was empty. Nobody. No criminal. Only a wooden coffin resting in the center. Fresh soil piled around it. The lid scratched slowly from inside. Tap. 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 Someone was knocking. The youngest officer ran forward. There's a survivor. He pulled the lid open before anyone could stop him. Inside lay a man. Thin. Barely breathing. Skin gray like ash. Eyes closed. Relief flooded the officers. They dragged him out carefully. Ambulance. Musa shouted into the radio. Static answered. The man's eyes suddenly opened. Pitch black. No whites. Just darkness. His mouth stretched wider than human skin allowed. And he laughed. Not loud. Not violent. Soft. Like someone amused. Every flashlight exploded at once. Darkness swallowed them again. Something moved fast. Bones cracked. A gun fired blindly. Someone screamed. Kola switched on his backup torch. Officer Musa lay against the wall. Neck twisted. Dead. The coffin stood empty. Mud footprints appeared leading deeper into another tunnel they hadn't noticed before. And from somewhere ahead, children's voices began singing. Slowly. Sweetly. Welcoming them forward. Kola realized then. Whatever they had freed had been waiting. The singing sounded innocent. That was the worst part. Soft children's voices echoed through the underground tunnel ahead of them, humming an old Yoruba lullaby. The melody bounced against wet concrete walls like it had nowhere else to escape. Inspector Kola raised his gun. Stay behind me. Only 2 officers remain now. The air grew warmer as they moved deeper, mixed with a strange sweetness, like burnt sugar. Mud footprints continued ahead. Bare feet. Adult size. But sometimes, smaller ones appeared beside them. As if children walked next to the thing they had freed. The tunnel opened into a circular chamber. Candles burned everywhere. Hundreds of them. Melted wax covered the floor like frozen tears. And in the center stood a long wooden table. Set for dinner. Plates arranged perfectly. 6 chairs. 5 empty. 1 occupied. A small girl sat calmly at the far end. Maybe 8 years old. Braided hair. White dress stained with soil. She looked up slowly. Are you here for the burial? She asked. One officer lowered his weapon instantly. Child, are you hurt? Kola grabbed his arm. Don't go closer. The girl smiled wider. Behind her, more coffins leaned against the wall. Tiny ones. Child-sized. Cold anger filled Kola's chest. Who brought you here? She tilted her head. You opened the door. Her voice deepened on the last word. Not a child anymore. Multiple voices layered together. Then the candles blew out. Darkness swallowed everything. Hands grabbed someone. A scream echoed beside Kola. Gunshots exploded blindly. Light returned seconds later. The officer beside him was gone. Only drag marks remained leading toward one coffin. Its lid slowly closed by itself. Kola fired. The bullet shattered the wood. Inside. Nothing. Only photographs nailed into the interior. Every missing child smiling from inside the coffin walls. Suddenly the singing started again. But now, it came from behind him. He turned. The little girl stood inches away. Eyes completely black. You shouldn't have opened him, she whispered. Then she vanished. And the tunnel behind them collapsed. Dust filled the air. They were trapped underground. Rescue teams arrived 3 hours later. They dug Kola out barely conscious near the kitchen hatch. Only him. No other officers survived. Reporters surrounded the compound immediately. Gas leak. Structural collapse. That's what headquarters told the media. Case closed. But Kola knew better. Because before he blacked out, he heard footsteps climbing out behind him. Something escaped. 2 nights later he sat alone in the station reviewing old missing person files. Every victim from the basement appeared connected. Same burial service. Same undertaker company. Same signature. Macquarie Funeral Services. Owned by brothers believed to be philanthropists. Rich. Untouchable. The same men who donated money to the police department. Kola stormed into his superior's office. Commissioner Adewale didn't even look surprised. You survived longer than expected, the commissioner said calmly. Kola froze. What? Adewale sighed. You weren't supposed to open that room. Cold realization hit him. You knew. The commissioner poured tea slowly. For 20 years that basement stayed sealed. Bodies disappeared, crime dropped, certain problems solved themselves. Kola felt sick. You fed people to it. Silence answered. It only takes those already marked, Adewale said quietly. Criminals. Runaways. Nobody important. And Musa. Kola shouted. The commissioner finally met his eyes. Sacrifices maintain balance. Gun shaking in his hand, Kola backed away. You monsters. But Adewale smiled gently. You still don't understand. He slid a photograph across the desk. A woman. Braided hair. School teacher. Missing 2 days earlier. Kola's breath stopped. His sister. How long do you think it's been free? Adewale asked softly. Outside the station light suddenly went out. Darkness filled every hallway. From somewhere below the building. Scratching began again. Slow. Patient. Coming from under the floorboards. Kola realized the truth too late. The thing from the basement hadn't escaped randomly. It followed him home. The scratching beneath the police station floorboards grew louder. Slow. Deliberate. Like something learning how to breathe again. Emergency lights flickered red across the hallway as officers shouted over radios that refused to work. Static filled every channel. Inspector Kola ran toward the holding cells. If the creature had followed him, then it wanted something. Or someone. A young constable stumbled past him, face pale. Sir, the basement archives, the doors locked themselves. Of course they had. Every building had a basement. Kola grabbed a shotgun from the armory. The corridor leading underground felt colder than the night outside. Halfway down the stairs he heard crying. Soft. Familiar. Kola. His heart stopped. His sister's voice. Busy, he whispered. The archive room door stood open. Lights inside glowed softly. She sat at a desk flipping through files calmly. Alive. Unharmed. Relief nearly broke him. He rushed forward. I thought you were. She smiled. Too slowly. You opened the coffin, she said. The voice layered over hers like many mouths speaking together. Kola froze. Her shadow stretched long across the floor. Too long. Moving when she didn't. You're not busy, he said quietly. Her head tilted. But she is here. Her chest split open without blood. Inside. Darkness moved. Hands pushed outward from within her ribs. Children's voices laughed. Kola fired. The blast shattered windows. The body collapsed instantly. Gone. Only his sister's photograph lay on the floor. Taken recently. Behind it written in red ink. Bring her back. The lights died completely. Gunshots echoed upstairs. Screams followed. Kola ran back toward the stairwell. Officers fled past him covered in blood. Something crawled across the ceiling above them. Fast. Wrong. Limbs bending backward like a spider learning to imitate humans. One officer looked up. He didn't even finish screaming. The thing dropped onto him. Bone snapped. Blood sprayed across the walls. Kola fired again and again. Bullets passed through smoke. Laughter echoed everywhere. Then suddenly, silence. A single radio crackled alive near his feet. Commissioner Adewole's voice whispered through it. Come back to Surale House. Pause. If you want your sister alive. Rain hammered Lagos when Kola returned to the abandoned compound. Police barricades were gone. Media vans disappeared. Like the place had never existed. Only one light burned inside. The kitchen hatch already stood open, inviting him. He descended alone. Flashlight shaking. The corridor looked different now. Walls wet. Symbols glowing faintly. Fresh. Alive. At the steel chamber door stood Commissioner Adewole. Hands calmly folded behind his back. You see, he said softly. It always comes home. Kola aimed the shotgun. You used it. We contained it. Adewole opened the chamber slowly. Inside. The coffin waited again. Perfectly clean. Like it had never been opened. You don't understand what it is, the commissioner continued. It doesn't kill randomly. It feeds on grief. He handed Kola another photograph. Busy. Alive. Standing somewhere underground. She's part of the bargain now. Kola's voice shook. What bargain? Adewole smiled sadly. Every city buries its monster somewhere. 30 years ago Lagos chose this one. He pointed toward the coffin. It takes the forgotten. Criminals. Missing people. Pain nobody claims. And when it's hungry. The commissioner hesitated. We offer replacements. Rage exploded inside Kola. You sacrificed innocents. Thunder shook the building. The coffin lid lifted slowly behind them. No one touched it. Cold breath filled the room. A child's voice whispered. You argued about me again. They turned. The little girl from the tunnel sat on the coffin edge swinging her legs. Mud dripping from her dress. Eyes completely black. She smiled at Kola. You brought me back to the city. Then she looked at Adewole. And you promised me dinner. The commissioner stepped backward. Fear finally breaking through. I kept the bargain. She laughed. No. Darkness flooded the room. Walls cracked open. Hands pushed through concrete. Hundreds of them. Reaching. Hungry. And somewhere deep below. A door opened that had never been opened before. The tunnel lights died one after another. Pop. 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 Darkness swallowed everything. Officer Kofi tightened his grip on the flashlight as dust floated through the air like grey snow. Behind them, the collapse sealed the stairwell completely. Their escape was gone. Ada grabbed his arm. Sir, something's moving. At first it sounded like dripping water. Then came footsteps. Slow. Wet. Dragging across concrete. The smell hit them next, rot mixed with burning chemicals strong enough to choke. Sergeant Bello raised his rifle. Police. Identify yourself. Kofi swung the beam forward. The light caught movement. A figure stepped out from the shadows. Too tall. Too thin. Its skin looked melted, stretched over bones that shifted under it like something alive inside was rearranging itself. Rusted medical tubes hung from its back, fused directly into flesh. Ada whispered, horrified, "That's a patient." Numbers were burned across its chest. Experiment markings. Behind the walls came scratching. Hundreds of scratches. More of them. The creature lifted its head slowly toward Kofi. Its jaw opened wider than humanly possible. "You opened it." Every bulb in the tunnel burst at once. Darkness exploded into gunfire flashes. Shots echoed. Concrete shattered. And when the smoke cleared, the thing was gone. Only the tunnel ahead remained. Wide open. Waiting for them. They ran forward. Because behind them the scratching had turned into claws tearing through walls. Kofi pushed through a steel door and froze. Rows of rusted hospital beds filled a massive underground chamber. Chains hung from the ceiling like shadows. Medical equipment blinked weakly. Still powered. Still working. At the center stood an old recording console. A red light blinked. Recording. Ada pressed play. Static filled the room. Then a calm voice spoke. "Project renewal log. Day 312. Kofi's stomach dropped. He knew that voice. Commissioner Adeyemi. The same man who ordered this place sealed 12 years ago. "We achieved regeneration through chemical exposure," the recording continued. "Subjects cannot die. Pain accelerates recovery." Photos flashed across nearby monitors. Missing people. Homeless reports. Arrest records. Police evidence tags. Victims brought here secretly. Ada staggered back. They used prisoners. A loud crack echoed behind them. The wall split open. Hands forced through concrete. Dozens. Then faces followed. Patients. Still alive. Still changing. Kofi grabbed the radio. "Command, basement compromised. We need evacuation now." Only static answered. Above ground, sirens suddenly wailed. Then stopped. The recording played one last message. "If this facility is reopened, release secondary containment." Lights flickered off. Far above them, something massive moved. The basement hadn't been sealed to keep people out. It was sealed to keep something else buried underneath. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to like the video. Subscribe now, because the next story might be even darker. And tell me in the comments, would you have opened that basement? Lock your doors tonight. I'll see you in the next story.